Greetings and welcome. I definitely hope you can hear me. I have gone live and I'm just going to wait for some people to arrive. Okay, so greetings and welcome. We have an exciting announcement to make tonight. Can y'all hear me? Can you press 1 if you can hear me? Or let me know in some way or fashion. Hearts. I guess I need to set my comments up. Good evening, people. Welcome. And if you feel so inclined, I would be extra loving and appreciative if you were to share this post with those who are loving and living that life. So, thank you all. Welcome. Appreciate the hearts, and I would love for you. Hey, Kimmy. Greetings, Giselle. Greetings, everyone. I'm so thankful that you all are here. Anouk, Sister Lotus, Micah, or is it Mika? I see Chris. I see Dennis. I don't have my glasses on, so it is what it is. And excuse me because I have my laptop over in this direction where I can actually see things better. And so I will be leaning in quite a bit. Thank you, Nirvana. Alvina, welcome. Roger, welcome. Minister. Marvin. Hope I haven't forgotten anybody. This is going to be a good night, y'all. Well, at least for the ladies. For the men, you can have your visual pleasure. And, you know, it is what it is. But I'm waiting for my illustrious guest. Welcome, Kendra. Welcome, Morris. And I see Dr. Portia here, who is my co-host for tonight, and I am adding her. Welcome. We have an exciting announcement, y'all. Like, for real, though. For real. Oh, excuse me. In your pink? Wait a minute.
Absolutely.
Oh my. How are you?
I'm
oh gosh.
So
looking radiant and fabulous. Oh my. Okay.
Honey, we are on a listen. We're on a mission tonight.
I know that's right. Let me pause this. Huh?
I said we're on a mission tonight.
Yes, we are. I feel like I need to pause this and go get dressed up because you're doing everything with your pink
honey,
and
I found
your wings.
Top, and you always inspiring me with the mauves and the pink. So I said, Leah would like this tonight, so I'm gonna wear the pink for
yes,
her.
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Honey, you all with your hot chocolate. You got your golden, red clay going on. You know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely. We got a level.
I'm all washed out. Honey, yes. And I'm washed out with all these lights. So it has me like 2 shades lighter than I actually am. It's like, what is going on? I got to fix these lights. I got a yellow glow going in. So excuse me, y'all, because I am not this light skinned. Anywho.
Well, I'm super excited.
I appreciate it. And I'm so glad you are here. We have a fabulousness going on right now. It's beyond measure, but it is something that, greetings, Talia, greetings, Felicia. And we appreciate you all sharing this to your pages because it is an exciting announcement. So I want to start it, and then I'm going to actually have Dr. Portia give us the title, but I need to start it with some hashtags because she fed me my life with some hashtags on a recent video that she did. I mean, excuse me, recent post. So we are dealing with hashtag level up, hashtag power up, hashtag doll up, and I wanted to add hashtag gold standard.
Yes.
So I'm going to give you the honors of giving us the title of this announcement.
Well, drum roll, please.
All of that. All of that.
The title of tonight's announcement is the Level Up Charm Academy. The Level Up Charm Academy. Yes, indeed. We have a place where women can learn the exact measures, the exact things to do to level up absolutely everything in your life, from looks to etiquette, to how to present yourself to the world. Because one of the things that we gathered from talking to just lots and lots of women is, you know, what's the next step? What's the next step for me? Where do I go next? What do I do?
Yes.
How do I bring this all together? So Leah and I got together for the Level Up Charm Academy, which is going to be your one-stop shop. One-stop shop. You don't have to go around and figure out how to put this together, that together, what's an appropriate look, what you need to do. Everything is in one place. So we are not like fish grease. I'm going to hand it back over to Leah so she can kind of let you know what we're about and welcome everyone. But this is the Level Up Charm Academy. This is the elite place where women who are ready come to say, I'm ready to level up my entire package that I'm going to offer to the world, because I don't want to play small. I don't want to be small, and I'm definitely not going to stick and pick through anybody's scraps. We're not going to do that in 2018. We're not going to pick from scraps. So I'm going to hand it back over to Leah so she can let you know kind of what we are all about.
Give thanks. Absolutely. So one of the things that is really, really valuable about the level up process is that I am so thankful that we have a cadre of women who are offering so much guidance in a variety of facets that are related to the holistic leveling up. And one of the things that both Dr. Portia and I have noticed through our inboxes, through actual requests from people who are following us regularly, is the request for one place where they can convene the information that both of us share on our, individual pages. And so I just want to briefly read, the Level Up Academy is a place where you no longer ask permission. It's where we give notice as we walk into the gold standard. And we have noticed that as we are individually and collectively walking into the gold standard, we have seen that there is an importance of sequestering. There's importance of bringing it in and having a conversation amongst women only, and not in a public forum where we have to be distracted by sea lioning, which is a phrase that I learned today, which is people knowing good and well what the issues are, but who are attempting to derail the conversation and the process by asking redundant and ridiculous questions. And so we want to remove ourselves from that distraction, and we want to place ourselves in an environment where we can initiate and or continue to focus on all aspects of level up. And one of the things that is most valuable about this is that it is level up on so many levels. In other words, we're going to go to that in a little bit later, but it's not compartmentalized. One of the things that I have understood with understanding and embodying and embracing the laws of attraction is that the more that you are able to holistically embrace whatever it is that you're focusing on, the faster and the more expeditiously, in other words, and the more powerfully you step into your goal.
Right.
And so sometimes we may deal with the physical level up, which is, your physical look, your makeup, your hair, et cetera, et cetera. Or sometimes we may leave that aside, but we focus on relationships. And we have a lot of fun talking about the dusties and the crust and all of that. But then we neglect the physical aspect, the appearance, the self care, and the body work. Or we neglect both of those and we talk about up leveling or leveling up on the financial levels. So then we're worried about discussing credit, how to advance ourselves financially, how to get our lives straight, how to look into the multitude of options in terms of investments, how to, then there's the fourth aspect, which is feminine energy. And so sometimes we neglect both the physical aspect, the trust aspect, the
Yes.
financial aspect, but we're just dealing with feminine energy from a spiritual perspective. And so what we wanted to do was provide a catalyst for the woman that is 100% passionate and focused on upleveling her life from a holistic perspective and provide one stream, one place where it. Oops, I'm sorry, I got a call and it was me. Can you hear me still?
Yes. We can hear you.
Okay. All right. So we are forming our lives moment to moment and taking true responsibility for our choices and stepping out of dysfunctional legacies. We are intentionally seeking marriage for purpose of wealth building, generational legacy, and to restore our rightful alignment to our femininity. We are committed to an accelerated path to leveling up. And so that encapsulates what the Academy is about. It is an accelerated path to leveling up for those who are absolutely focused on their path to leveling up rather than reading a few posts here and there and getting distracted. So, Dr. Portia, do you have your document up or available in regards to who is a good fit for the
I
Academy?
do. I do. I have it right here in front of me. Um,
Okay.
yeah, sure thing. So when we talk about leveling up, we want to make sure that we are really clear, crystal clear as to who is a good fit. Because the reality is to really address the point of saying, I am no longer going to allow anything in my life that does not help me to meet my goals. Every woman is not there, and it's okay. It's not anything to be ashamed of. It's not anything to isolate. But we're in the holistic arena of servicing women who have already made some very clear, hardcore decisions. They are
Right.
individuals that are not treading the fence. They are clear about what it is they want. And here's the kind of a characteristic chart of who would be a good fit. The first thing is the ladies that would come aboard the Level Up Academy are those who have detached themselves from dysfunctional relationships and they prioritize marriage and stability. Marriage and stability. Marriage is the greatest indicator of building wealth, and it's also the best economic factor for building and maintaining wealth structures. So the fact that we have a 73% African American out of wedlock rate means that we that you as an individual woman cannot make that decision to prioritize that. So the woman that would be a good fit for this has already prioritized marriage and stability, and they have really detached themselves from grading men on curves and really dysfunctional relationships. Women who are good fit are also passionate about their own evolution. This is not about group think. I actually detest group think. This is about
Mm-hmm.
passionate and excited about your own evolution. Leah and I have just spent countless hours putting together the format for this charm school in terms of what is it going to take for us to put all the resources in one place that you can have access to grow yourself and level yourself up. So the next thing, a woman that's completely open-minded, and able to embrace concepts and actions that are not always in her comfort zone. They are willing to change the status quo and come out of their comfort zones. Ladies, this is not about comfort. It is comfortable to continue to have babies for men that have all the excuses in the world as to why we're not married. It's comfortable to always say, I'm going to take a step back. It's comfortable to say, I'm going to not take care of myself. I'm going to take care of my children first. These are comfort zones, but these are all comfort zones that limit, derail, distract, annihilate, and amputate your potential in the world. Also, crystal clear that a woman who is a good fit for the Level Up Charm School would be a woman that is willing to do the work. We are all working on ourselves. We're coming off of, hundreds of years of believing the lies. Actually believing that, I look at my mother and I look at my grandmother and I look at my great-grandmother. We all make decisions based on the information that we have. But the thing about it is, you have to be willing to do the work. So no trolling. We're not looking and catering to women that want to come into the private group and really watch other women. We're not targeting watchers. We're targeting that woman that's going to say, I'm going to do my makeup. Tell me, honestly, how do I look? This woman that says, I have a 415 credit score and I want to buy a house in a year. What exactly do I need to do? That woman that says, where exactly do I need to go so that I'm in a circle of the kind of men that match the trajectory of my life? And
yes, ma'am.
That's not your local community center. They're not.
Girl.
So the ladies have to be willing to do the hardcore work, which I engage in, and I know Leah does every day. It gets easier, but the work has to be done on a daily basis where you are coming out of the comfort zone. Lastly, a woman that would be a great fit for the Level Up Charm School is a woman that is able to give and receive constructive criticism to help another sister reach a desired outcome. She is not that individual that's super sensitive that says, I don't want to change the way that I'm presenting myself to the world, but I want that desired result. There are things about myself that I had to actually edit. There are things that I had to, and one of the things that I did have to learn when I started circling in different groups are things like etiquette, how to act when you're in public, how to lower your tone and be able to communicate with people at the table without everyone knowing exactly what you're saying.
Right.
How to be effective in business without allowing your personality, your belief systems to go before you. You control your belief system. That is for you and the privacy of your own home. It is not for an exterior display because it is a true form of self-power. So this woman has to be able to give and receive constructive criticism. There are things that I'd say to the this is something I'm struggling with. I need help with this. I need to fix this. Because this particular issue is a problem. It's a barrier for getting the desired results. So these are the good fit for the Level Up Charm School. They are completely detached from the character that they created. They are detached from that character because that character was culturally bred. That character was culturally bred for cultural usage. Culturally bred for cultural usage. But we are tending into a global environment. A global environment. And no, we can't just be, when we sit down to eat, we don't need to check our cell phones. No. You we're having dinner, you should not be on your cell phone. As a matter of fact, when you're with someone, you should turn that phone off and put it away and give them your undivided attention. Because what's going to close that deal, or what's going to create intimacy with that partner, is how much of your attention you give them. So if you're there and you're on your phone and you're checking Facebook, this is a no-go for people that do that all the time when they're at work. They want your attention. They want you to plug in. So there's certain business etiquette, even when things are not going good, even when we are soliciting and interacting with men, especially men on a global level, there are just some games that you're not able to play if you're going to win. One of the things that Lee and I spoke about earlier, we talked about the fact that if you're going to play the game, you have to dress the part. If you're going to play the game, you're going to have to dress the part, which means that I love cowgirl boots and denim jeans. But when I am in a situation where the price is high, I take that and I put it away. So it's very important. I'm going to open my door here. It's very important that we are able to differentiate between who's a good fit and who's not. And Lydia asked headphones in because someone messaged me that I'm echoing a little bit. I think it's because of my bathroom.
Oh, okay. Has it gotten any better, y'all?
Is it better now?
I know I have to have my headphones in because otherwise it's a hot mess for me in this area here.
Okay, but you can keep it better. That's about the end of who's a good fit. So we were just kind of wrapping it up about the ability to receive constructive criticism and give it to other sisters that are in the group for the purpose of leveling up, not for the purpose of being mean or being, no, none of that. We don't deal with that. That pettiness is not there. This is for the purpose of getting your own desired outcome and results that you want for your individual life. Aaliyah, I turn it over to you.
Okay. And then, so as we have covered, and for those who are late, thank you all for joining us. Peace, everyone. Appreciate you being here. And if you know of those who might be interested in this, please do share this. Absolutely, we're going to be getting into more details as to how to join the actual group. But we just wanted to have this video here that we can share with others who may not have been able to listen to the live and understand the details of what this group is about, so that we don't have to actually keep repeating the same thing, because we're about efficiency and it's about quality over quantity. Because we didn't come in here, we're not going to be here to argue and carry on hurt feelings, and we're not here to be rude. We're not going to be in any way. This is a safe space to practice your etiquette and to practice the actionable aspects of leveling up. This group is not for you. It's not for, hold on, let me scroll down. I'm in the wrong section. This group is not for women. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm totally in the wrong area. I went too far. Okay, so this group is not for women who are committed to the dysfunction of Black culture and in love with the idea of Black love exclusively. So again, we promote healthy love. We promote love amongst individuals who are like-minded and who have the absolute goal of family wealth, of generational wealth, and of completely positioning ourselves within the stream of thought and the actionable lifestyle which many of our great leaders had requested that we embark upon, including Marcus Garvey from way back in the day. And but their frame of mind is not, does not equate, quote unquote, popular Black culture as it stands today. We have seen a very large chasm between the greats who have taken the time and energy to study our characteristics, our past, our history, and our abilities. And we have, distilled it into a level of nonsense which supports excusism, and doesn't actually allow us to take our rightful place in the world marketplace. And so this group, not only in regards to family and love and everything else, it completely disregards any and all actionable mental, spiritual concepts which do not actually feed into a wealth cycle that can actually generate healthy families and healthy interactions within those who are about that life. Um, and so we also, this group is also not for women who are not willing to enhance their physical appearance to command a higher experience. And so I want to repeat that again, because this is something that many of us do struggle with. It's something that I personally struggled with. But this group is not for women who are not willing to enhance their physical appearance to command a higher experience. And so what that means, and I will go further in detail in the actual group, because again, the public forum many times is not for this discussion. But in other words, many of us who are very talented, who are very heart centered, who are willing to do the work necessary in regards to so called community efforts, at least positioning our mindset within the quote unquote vultureism that has become Black culture in many aspects, so-called conscious, Black conscious culture. um, we have donned a certain persona, which is um, highlighting the natural aspects of life, highlighting, you know, a certain appearance, because that was in keeping with the long laundry list of duties and characteristics that the Black woman has had to take on when engaging with the conscious community. You know, we needed to be completely look a certain way, we needed to dress a certain way, we needed to behave a certain way, which only benefited those who requested that we look that way, when in actuality, those who typically have requested that, not to say that some women haven't come to it on their own, but in many of the so-called conscious movements, the so-called spiritual movements, they have requested much more of the woman than they have of the man, in my opinion. And this is after 20 years of being in it. This is after well over 20 years of wearing dreadlocks, never wearing any makeup, never doing this, never doing that, and supporting men financially and otherwise. And we have found woman after woman after woman after decades of being involved in these relationships that there is a huge disconnect between what we have been told that is most pleasing in terms of the feminine aspect, but then the very same men within these movements typically are mostly attracted to women who look like something else. They are mostly attracted, and there's this is why we need to come out of the public forum, because they will
Yes.
be in your inbox, they will be all up through this chat talking about natural
Right.
woman, African queen, the Black empress, the Black this, the Black that. But I've been married to them, and when I'm walking in the street, I see who they're looking at and rubbernecking in the street when they're with me. I see what drags their attention, what draws them, and it hasn't been the Rastafari sister with the long skirt covered from head to toe, or this or that. It's been the woman who physically appeals to them, not the story, which keeps you in a state of mind and a state of being, which is a servant, which is the service role for them, who are not actually playing their part. Because if they had been, our communities would be much, much better. Our communities would have already been built. All of this quote unquote building that's been talked about for decades, it would have already been done. So
Right.
we are seeing that we bought into this concept that we're supposed to be looking a certain way. We're supposed to be behaving in a certain way. We're supposed to be dressed in a certain way, which doesn't actually serve our well-being if it is not initially generated from within ourselves. And
Right.
so the comeuppance and the level up is divorcing yourself from various erroneous concepts that have been brought mostly from men who want you to behave and look and dress in a certain way that does not serve you in the world marketplace. Now, if that's you personally and you're single and you like it and all of that, but the hard truth of the matter is, which Dr. Portia had commented on earlier, is if you are um, truly interested in a holistic leveling up process, um, you're going to have to understand that in order to get yourself into a power position, you got to be in the places where power is enacting itself. And in order to
Absolutely.
get in the door, you cannot be coming in there with a tam and a dashi and all kinds of extra, which is beautiful and all of that in its right setting. But
Right.
power is not gotten from these spiritual chants and meditation, all of this stuff. These people push that because they've either already got the power and they're able to relax and do these other things on the side, or they're completely powerless and shuffling this ideology that gets you nowhere. In 2018, we are still nowhere in terms of the collective, in terms of the community. And women who are birthing these children without child support, without any support, with just struggling, we're waking up from the dream. We are waking
Yes.
up from and just real stuff. Like, we have the disaster stories to tell you. I have my own. I have a load of sisters who I can just list them out right here if I wanted to, in terms of what we have bought into and succumbed to, and what we have put our children through because we believed and bought into this mess behind leaders and males who were not actually ready and not able or not capable of actually
Right.
building all of this talk that they've been talking for the past 30 and 40 years. And so, in order to elevate ourselves, we are in a position where you have to challenge yourself. You have to challenge some beliefs that you've held for the past decades about your appearance, about, you say you want property, you want this, you want that. And there are exceptions who are able to be completely, certain look, certain this and certain that, and still make it. But the vast majority, you're going to go into, like Dr. Portia is going to be speaking very much on agribusiness, on entrepreneurship, on all of these things in male centric environments. And she's going to be teaching us facts after facts after facts in this group. And you can't walk in there any kind of way. You can't walk in there,
No.
with your fist pumped and your fro and whatever. It is what it is. Once you get to Oprah level or whatever it is, whoever you see as your pinnacle, then you can make some changes. If you have maintained a certain level of spiritual integrity, then you can talk about it. But if you don't even have a spoon, if you don't even have the cab fare to get to the executive boardroom, much less a program to present, then all of this other conversation is moot, because all of that is fantasy in terms of thinking that you're just going to be super spiritual and you're just going to make this big difference in the world. Even the so-called Caucasians or whatever else that are super spiritual and making big differences in the world, they have some financial backing. And this whole weird ass concept that you can do stuff, major stuff, without any financial backing is the
Insane.
mess that insane. It's the concept of insanity. Next point is, this group is not for women who are super sensitive to criticism and take things personally. In other words, we have come into the group with a level of compassion. We have compassion for ourselves. We have compassion for the path we've walked. We have compassion for ourselves as a collective, as women who are birthing these babies without much support. And that's not, there are exceptions and there are wide swaths of men, but those who we have found, if you really want to think about it and step out of your feelings, those who are supporting their children males who are supporting, they're typically not in these conscious and spiritual movements. I'm just going to be honest. These are run-of-the-mill brothers who had good family upbringing, who are just, they're
Right.
just dealing with the basics of life. Typically, I have seen more examples of men supporting their families and doing what they need to be doing when they are outside of spiritual, conscious, political, all of that, as opposed to those who I have seen on a day-to-day basis over the past 20 years. Majority of them can't do it. There's not exceptions. I'm just saying, for all of the talk and the bravado and the nation building and this plan and that plan and this concept of, well, just settle for polygamy, just settle for this, just settle for that, and all of this stuff and the excusism over the man and whatnot, that is found in the political, social, cultural groupings that we have been caught up in, and we've bought the lie. And so we are waking up, and we are taking the harsh medicine and accepting that we walk that path without being handcuffed and a gun to our head. We made these decisions, but now it's time to do something else. And in doing that, we have to be ready and willing to accept input in our process. So this is not for the sister who just can't take any input, because we know many of us are like that, extra sensitive, nobody can say anything to them, and you're popping off emotionally and all of that. None of that is available, is an acceptable and available manner of behavior for those who are in certain circles, who are actually leaving a legacy for their children. They're not doing all of that, at least in a public forum. So another one is women. This group is not for women who are committed to catering and being in love with powerless men for the sake of race first. Now that's a hard pill to swallow, but
it is.
We're going to put it out there on the public forum, and this is going to be pretty much the last time that I know many have enjoyed our videos that we have done, but this is going to be the last extensive video that we're going to be doing in a public forum, because there comes a time when it really has to be brought in, because as long as women continue to accept anything, we will fall for everything. And we've been doing that for decades without serious, honest, critical, wisdom-led input from our elder women. We have been just let out into the wild, so to speak, and we've been following those who have not had our best interest at heart, clearly from the experience that we've had. And so committed to catering and being in love with powerless men. So I'm gonna pause on that, because I do have two more points, but I do want Dr. Portia, because she has such a way of being very succinct about this, speak on that. Committed to women. This group is not for women who are committed to catering and being in love with powerless men for the sake of race first.
Yeah, definitely, because we really, I hope I'm not echoing too, when a group or culture of men have no world power, and this is not specific of a particular race, although it can encompass and consume a particular race. But when a group of men have no power, the only power that group of men can exercise is control of its women.
Yes, sir.
So
and
we
yes,
have
ma'am.
to we have to really understand that Black consciousness, and I know it's gonna hurt some sisters, but our children are at stake. We have to understand that Black culture, Black consciousness is a fabricated tactic of warfare against the femininity of Black women. Digest that pill, you're going to have a hard time with this group, and I suggest not joining. When I talk about, when Liz said catering and being in love, we're not in the catering business here. We're not in the ego stroking. We're not in the help build a nation, help a brother out. We're not building nations. We're creating generational wealth and legacy. And that is a global platform. You see, it takes a small-minded person to think that a nation without power can play globally.
Child.
You got to dress the part.
Yes.
And it comes with some hardcore decisions. And when we get inside of this private group at Level Up Charm School, we're not fucking playing. What is the power? How do I get it? How do I command the universe that I'm in control of? Not what some race of people have done to me, not the struggles and the economy of black folks got a lot of money. That's the first myth. That's number one.
Right.
They're just not choosing to spend it on you and your children.
Right. Right.
So if you understand that you know when we're talking about not catering to, we're not stroking egos here of men that have no power besides the power they gain from laying between women's legs, who are completely brainwashed and under a spell of black culture. See, as long as you're under that spell, you really believe that black culture is struggling by default, when in reality, black culture is struggling by design.
Willfully.
So we are not in the business of catering to any powerless man, not just a black one, an Arab one, a white one, a Mexican one, a Russian one. We're in the business of raising our femininity so that we create generational wealth, healthy families, and successful businesses and brands. And that requires that we do not cater to and entertain and be in bed with and on the front line of and holding up our fence in front of and having babies for out of wedlock at 73%, paying rent for, paying car note for, helping you through immigration, helping you get out of jail, going to court for you for a character arrest for child support. None of this shit matters anymore.
No, ma'am.
We got entire generations of children, generations of children that would never, ever leave the ghetto. They would never leave the ghetto. And a man that can sleep in a ghetto with children who he knows have no future, to me, is the enemy of the state. Now, that's just me.
That's the enemy of the black family.
Absolutely. So we're not going to play those games. We're definitely not going to cater to. So if you are into that struggle love, that fake it till we make it, that put the power bill in Big Mama's name, even though she's 89 years old, build a nation love, committed to self-sacrifice, walking around, toes not done, feet running over your sandals, no bra on, stuff is all over you. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing this stuff. We're not doing it. You know why? Because that mentality kills. It smothers the beauty out of black women. It smothers the life out of them. So we're going to put that up front. So before we even get into the group, you won't be so surprised and come to the group with all this stuff about you got to save the nation.
No, ma'am.
The first question is, what nation are you talking about? Because there's not one in black culture.
No.
So definitely, Leah, I just wanted to speak on the fact that we are definitely not in the catering business. And we are definitely not in the business of housing, transporting, feeding, and masturbating with powerless men. Not in that business. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I would like to add, we want to live with the ideology that there is not a supportive state financing of our lifestyle. And I heard
Mm-hmm.
this on a sister that I happen to really enjoy on YouTube. And she made a very poignant point, which is, like it or not, and I say this because having lived in a West African country for 4 years, I have seen life without social safety nets. I have seen what happens when you are living your life and you don't have Section 8 to call on. You don't have, EBT. You don't have, emergency funds. You don't have any of that.
Mm-hmm.
And she made a comment that women would be surprised who have not lived outside of these social safety nets. They would be very surprised at how their tune would change when they have the concept that I'm just, an independent sister. I'm an independent, strong Black woman. I'm independent. I don't need a man for this, that, and the other. And the choices that we make, we want to really consider that. In all
Mm-hmm.
honesty, we want to consider, if I lay up with Mr. Beard Game with the chiseled chest and all of that, Mr. Sexy, who has no job or something that can't support anybody anyway, and I get pregnant and I have no WIC, I have no food stamps, I have no Section 8, I have no government assistance to come in here and help me out. How am I going to survive if he is not a stand-up man who is committed to me and committed to this family? How am
Mm-hmm.
I going to live this life, work, and deal with daycares and all of that, diapers and all of that on a minimum wage salary or less? How am I going to do this? And I present that to a level of thinking that we really want to
Mm-hmm.
be aware of, because so much of our thinking is colored by, or at least supported by, a foundation of support that we've had. Now,
Mm-hmm.
we're not here to go into the whole political thing of, well, and I don't want to hear brothers, well, the government, that's why they did that, to push the man out of the home and all of that. I'm not here for that. All I'm
Mm-mm.
saying
No.
is, because still nobody forced you to deal with this sister without a condom. So you are not absolved from your responsibility in this. Um, but as women, we need to really look at that. So when you have to begin to look at, take away all of the supports that you have had or that you may have come to depend on, and now try to live your life as a woman who is fertile, who is bringing children into this world. How are you going to support them? How are you going to raise them? How are you going to educate them? How are you going to take care of yourself, and so that you can be there for them in a productive and positive manner, in order to instill and relay some of these very critical lessons that the quote unquote upper class are able to do because they're financially comfortable enough to have the wherewithal and the mind space to instill these valuable lessons into the children. So if you are living a life without all of these social, catch me ups, the social, things under you that would support you and your decisions that you've been making with men who are clearly not committed to you, and there is no marriage, there is nothing going on here, not even the rent, how are you going to make decisions in the future? And so this is somewhat of the mindset that we want to bring women in terms of this academy, is that leave all of that, pretend as if it doesn't exist. If any of that did not exist, what type of man would you choose to lay with?
Mm-hmm.
Would you choose to lay with Tyrone? Or would you choose to lay with a brother who is willing and ready and able to commit to the establishment of a family and
Absolutely.
be there for the raising of that family and the support of the family? That decision would be very different if you did not say to yourself, well, even if he's not there, I still got WIC, I got all of these different programs to help me out, and we're just going to limp and struggle along and I'm just basically not going to be there for them because I'm still going to be working, how many hours a week. You see what I'm saying? So it's
Right.
a mind shift that is incredibly important. We're not coming into the group with the welfare mentality. We're not coming into the group with the social aids mentality that this is here for us. You're coming into the group as a person who understands that your life has to be directed and built from the ground up based on your own energy and not government assistance, because you've already made the assumption that all of these brothers that you're laying with are not here for you. They're not going to be
Right.
around, or you're playing some game with yourself when you know good and damn well this brother is not serious about you and he's just saying whatever it is to get in your pants, and you're accepting that when you know deep down he's not about that. Do you see what I'm
Right.
saying? So
Absolutely.
I just wanted to throw that in there. And then the last point, before we move on to the components of what is involved in the Level Up Academy, the last very important point is this group and this academy is not for you if you are not open to various forms of spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is that many times, women are very much deep into the Christian culture or whatever your spiritual background is.
Oh.
This is a non-religious group.
Right.
So if you are going to involve yourself into this level up process, but you cannot hear anything about metaphysics, you cannot hear anything about
Right.
ancestors, and that's all of a sudden devil worshiping, and that's, oh my God, and if it baby white Jesus isn't here, you're falling out. Nobody cares, like seriously,
Right.
because baby white Jesus did not save you from your situation. Anywho, side note, I always digress. I'm just saying, whether you're,
Right.
Muslim, whatever it is, we
Right.
don't care. And we're not here for that. We want to take and grab any and every bit of information that can help
Mm-hmm.
us, whether it's from
Right.
Muslim scriptures, whether it's from Christian scriptures, whether it's from Yoruba, whether it's somebody, we want to discuss Oshun, we want to discuss, because this group is very much dipped in feminine energy. And many
Mm-hmm.
times the world languages, the world stories, the mythologies of the goddess energy is not Christianity, because Christianity was built on a lot of that, but they switched it into a very masculine situation. And that's neither here nor there. And we're not going to discuss that. But if you get in the group and we talk about setting up an altar, we talk about various aspects of various goddess energies that you can incorporate into your life, not necessarily to worship them, but to recognize the goddess within yourself. And now you're
Mm-hmm.
falling out because it's not about baby white Jesus. That's going to be a problem. Okay. You need to be able to circulate in a world environment of different people. And many times we have
Yes.
found that African American women in particular can be very, very close-minded, can be
Mm-hmm.
boxed into this ideology that has not served them from day one. Ain't nobody brought you out of the ghetto. And baby white Jesus, all of that is, nobody's doing any of that for you. But you hold on to it, and it is what it is. But you want to hold that, you want to keep that outside of the group. So if you're offended by mentioning of, a simple spiritual ritual or a simple bathing ritual or lighting a candle to meditate to, and if that is something that evokes the devil and, whatever, to you, that's going to be a problem, because
Right.
we are not here to hinder any aspects of growth that someone, it may not be for you and you can simply scroll past that post,
Mm-hmm.
but you won't start on a tirade about your religion and about whatever it is that you got going on. Do you have
Mm-hmm.
anything to add to that, sis, before we move on to the next section?
Yes, absolutely. Because I think it's so important to know that when we talk about leveling up, part of that is emotional intelligence, where you're
Mm,
not responding to other people's beliefs as though they are your own. You actually
mm-hmm.
respect another person enough to say, yeah, that's really beautiful. There are things that my mother and my grandmother are deeply Christian. And there are things that when we talk and have breakfast, I agree with them on, because I'm emotionally intelligent enough to know that at the root of when the dust settles, we're talking about the exact same thing. So the
Right.
verbiage and the language and who said it and who came first and how many years, that is the sign that a woman is really emotionally addicted to their own story. And they can see the beauty in another woman's story because they're on defense about their own. It takes up time, effort, and energy. So I'm so glad that you added that point, because we have to, if you can open up to other people's spirituality and respect and not acknowledge that, it's going to be very hard for you to move in a global environment, because there will come a time when you have to interact with individuals that are extremely different from yourself, extremely different. So do you let that money walk off the table because you think your savior came 3 days before theirs? Or do you recognize that this is a part of them and the bigger picture is closing the deal?
Right.
It takes emotional intelligence, and that's one of the things definitely in the group that we're going to talk about, is being open to each other's stories, because our stories are so important. So we don't want to miss the meaning of the story by getting addicted to the language of it. So there will come some topics we're going to have to discuss using, especially with the deep feminine. We're going to have to use some Loas, some Orishas, some angels, some mythology, some way of being. There are some scriptures that you can only really understand in business that really only comes from Jesus and Muhammad. But you have to really understand that and be able to operate on multiple levels. So I 100% agree, sis. 100%.
And I think that to piggyback on what you're saying is we acknowledge and accept the fact that American culture is a very boxed in experience. And it's only when you travel outside of the States that you understand how very much contained the American experience is. And even when the African American, Black, whatever you want to call it, that segment of the population disenfranchise themselves from being American, there's not something that was more poignant and powerful to me after I got out of the States and lived out of the States for a few years, was understanding just how segmented and just how enslaved the Black mind still was, even within the liberated quote unquote movements. So in other words, there are nations all over this world who live completely differently than the American. And so even if we think that reading books, that doing certain exercises, certain fellowships, and everything else in between is separating us from the American mindset, the American construct, we are still very much Americans. And you will only see that when you step out of America. Do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
When you step out of the American experience, when you listen and speak to other Africans who see you as mixed. And here you've been thinking you super dark and you got all this going on, and they're seeing you as mixed when they are not considering you as African. They consider you as a separate set. And you can get your feelings hurt. I got my feelings hurt. Like, I was upset. It was a hot mess when they asked me, was I mixed, or was, well, you're not African, and it was all about semantics. I understand that, but it was also cultural. And when you begin to engage, and we're going to discuss that, for instance, engaging in watching foreign films, get off of Empire, get off of everything else. I'm not saying get off 100%, but I'm saying open your mind Watch films with subtitles. Watch them for the purpose of looking at how other cultures live and other places that have a completely different way of interacting with one another, a completely different way of thinking about religion, thinking about openness, thinking about the earth, thinking about outer space, thinking about every aspect
Right.
that you think about, but from a totally different perspective. And this is something that, you will discover you're closer to George W. Bush than you think you are in your pro-blackness. And that's real. And I only saw that once I got out of the States. The stupidity, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Again, be able to hear what I'm saying, but the intellectual and emotional stupidity that a lot of American people have because they've not been exposed. Meanwhile, the entire world lives on a concept of inclusiveness, on travel, on, their governments are set up on how many weeks a year that do they get from their job in terms of travel, how many weeks a year do they get for, maternity leave, paternity leave. Like, there's so many different ways of living. There's people
Right.
that don't eat dinner until 10 p.m. at night, and they drink wine at the table and their children sip. Like, it's not this whole concept of the American, oh my God, you're under 21 and you're having a sip and you're becoming, alcoholic. And it's not that. Like, there are ways that people, give thanks, brother. There are ways that people engage with life that is so much different from the American. And if you think
Yes.
that just by watching a few reality shows and Empire and all of that and living your rat race life and having your dashikis and your ankhs and you're just doing this whole thing and you've read a couple of, Carter G. Woodson books and a couple of other things and you got it going on, that's not it. That is not a worldview at all.
No.
And there is an entire economy that has been built. And if you really want to help the African diaspora, so to speak, if that is your thing, you still got to be able to walk into the UN. You still need to be able to walk into an environment of the United Nations and stand up and understand the laws, understand the way in which the international world communicates with one another, not just with in your little community and your little community center and your little hotepness and your Blackistan world, but the entire community. Because if you can develop allies in the most unlikely of places, you can get stuff done so much faster. But you haven't even stepped your behind in there because you're in Blackistan, you're over here, small-minded, can't even pay your rent. But you're talking about nation building and you're talking about this and you're talking about all of that and making all of these babies that you can't support. And you're talking about all of this stuff. Nobody cares because you're completely powerless. And so if we are going to wait on, not to say that there are not brothers who are on this, you posted the link about the brother, 31-year-old brother. And I'm going to have you to go in that only because it's in a live environment. And I want to share with the women that all is not forsaken. There are eligible men of various races, but especially even or including, if that is your preference, the Black race. There are men who are about something, who are not sitting somewhere with a pulpit or with a megaphone and their dashiki and all of these writs and rights and all of these, prescriptions that they place on the women, and they're not living up to themselves. But there are men, like I said, who are not about all of that, but they're doing it. And so when you level up as a woman who's got the heart and the mind for nation building, but with the right thinking and not following people who don't have the prescription for actually doing it. And I don't say that in a masculine way. We just have to be very real because we are all sitting out here with these children and these babies and where, we have to get real. And then we have to embrace and sink into our femininity and understand that through our femininity, we will begin to attract masculine men who are actually capable and able and willing and excited about supporting a family and doing the work that's necessary to build intergenerational wealth. And I wanted you to tell this story because so many of us who are sinking in this quicksand of Black consciousness and quote unquote consciousness and all of this, we don't even see brothers out there who are about that life, like who are actually not just sitting up talking in Facebook warriors and all of this concept and asking women to, well, just, you don't have many options, so just deal with your polygamy. And, we all sit up here and just, and make up all these excuses for how polygamy is really about that life. And it may be for some, but I've already experienced several families who were polygamous and didn't get the job done. And the fallout is, again, fatherless children. I've seen it firsthand. So I don't entertain discussions about that anymore. But these are the type of women, the men that I want the women to understand. They're out there, but you've been looking in the wrong direction. You've been looking at Mr. Conscious and Mr., all of this and Mr. Facebook Warrior, and you've been doing all of that. But there are men out there who don't look like that, who don't have the braids or the this or the dreads or the whatever, and they don't look like Mr. Beard Game. They're not Mr. Sexy, and they're not all of this bullshit that you have been raised to look for in a man. And they're out here making away and making that money. Talk to them about that, brother.
Absolutely. Awesome experience. The brother contacted me on my website, and he was interested in getting some consultant work done. He had just purchased a very large farm in Arizona, and he was, one of the things I recognized about people with real power is that they are prepared to execute. They're prepared to execute.
Absolutely.
And by the time they actually contact you, they've already researched you and watched you for a while. So they know that you are legit and they are serious about their business. So one of the things that really came across from Mr. Timothy is that he was extremely serious about his bread and butter. And he had no time to waste on messing up not one penny of his money. And he made that very, very clear in a pleasant, professional manner. But through every phase of the deal, he made it clear what his expectations were. He made it clear exactly that he was well financially prepared, and that money was not an object in me consulting with his operation.
A Black man.
So,
and it's so strange that I'm saying this. It's like, why do I have to point that out? It's a Black man that,
It's a Black man. Yes. So
tell them about what I mean.
The deal that we closed was I wouldn't say astronomical, but it was tens of thousands of dollars. I would say that.
And he dropped it in how many seconds?
A minute. Not even a minute.
He's not up here talking about building and I just need to, I just need 5 extra wives. I just need et cetera, et cetera. I just need for you to, sister, I need you to do this, and sister, I need you to be in my corner, and I need you to be ride or die. Sister, I just need you to be natural. I just need you to do this, and I need you to do that and be in my corner. He did what? In a couple of seconds.
He transmitted his funds.
Tens of thousands
of dollars, yes, on bank wire.
And he's how old?
He's 31 years old, not married, and financially astute. And I would say this, that the icing on top of the cake is that this brother, unlike myself and every other agribusiness person, when we purchase our farms, of course, we got financing because land is extremely high in comparison to real estate. He purchased his farm outright.
Outright. I mean, I just need to stop. Hold on. Because listen, I can't. And this is why I wanted you to share the story of this brother.
Yes.
And it's very important in this recording because this is what we're talking about with the level up group. This is, if you level up your mentality, your
Yes.
mind, your energy, your appearance, there are
Right.
brothers. If you want to stay, brothers only or whatever, there are brothers out there who are not on Facebook talking about building and I just need you to do this and I just need you to do that, sisters, and I need all of y'all to do everything for me, and I'm sitting up here directing traffic. But I'm actually this brother, 31,
31 years
and
old.
bought how many acres of land and dropped how much in a minute and transferred that money. Not talking about, and then I want you to juxtapose it with those in your inbox, the builders and the brothers
Yes, the
who
builders.
are, and it's not to disparage, but I need you to understand that there's not a brick wall in front of you women. That I need you
Yes.
women and I mean you, meaning me, to understand, because we've been so blinded by this conscious rhetoric and these
Yes.
powerless men who've spent more time building rhetoric than actually doing the work that this 31-year-old brother did with a child,
Yes.
or whatever, but he still did it. So if you're
He
still
still did it, and
laboring
it
under
was.
the illusion that consciousness and all of this build-a-bear concept and all of this rhetoric and talk, that you just have to be patient with brothers and you just have to do this and you just have to do that and you just
No.
have to keep birthing these babies behind these men, you just have to keep doing all of this stuff, hoping and willing and waiting. There's an entire world. You are in this little box, sisters. You have been in this little box, self-imposed, for decades, behind
Right.
men who have sold a story to you,
Right.
which is really about your accepting their acceptance of their own powerlessness. And
Yes.
you have not seen there is an entire globe out there, including Black men, who are actually doing it and not talking this nonsense. You
Absolutely.
see what I'm
And
saying?
it was crystal clear from the
Oh my
moment I spoke
God.
with him. He moved from consultation to execution in a matter of 2 days. Um, we were, I mean, just going through the process, which extremely just a fascinating process, because um, it's inspiring to see someone at that age with so much power and so much
And
determination.
liquidity.
And yeah, and he
Yes.
said to me, it was so interesting. He says to me, he said, I guess I gotta park this Cadillac, and I said, yeah, you gotta park that Cadillac. You gotta get an F for where you are in the mountains. You're gonna have to get an F-250. An hour later, he was on the lot, had paid for the F-250 in cash, and texted me the picture. How you like this? What do you think about this? And I
Girl.
said, this is marvelous. This is going to get the job done. And mind you, he's in Arizona, in an area that is extremely exclusive. This is not a cheap venture.
Right.
And so I was very inspired by and just motivated and confirmed that when you up level your thinking, everything around you change. The men that
Yes.
require you to build are not attracted to highly feminine women.
Thank
And
you.
and and I would add this before we kind of go on to the next point. As we were kind of closing up the deal, and we had already, taken care of our business and everything, and we were talking, and he said we were trying to decide whether or not I was going to fly into the farm directly or into the area in Phoenix that he was at. So it was so interesting because, he was like, oh, just pick out your hotel or whatever. Just text me, screenshot me, and we're done. So.
And I mean, I'm laughing because I don't want to cry. I'm laughing because the level of talent and what we came with in terms of our heart and our intentions towards the quote unquote movement, the quote unquote struggler and sufferer, the level of, I'm not talking about I'm talking about those of us who have been through it and who wanted the best. And
Yes.
we have, is it even 1% of us that have actually encountered a man that can just drop it like that without your wondering, are the cops coming? Because you don't know where this cash comes from. I'm just saying, like, I understand and all of that. Hey, if you can turn that cash, Jay-Z did it, everybody, you know what I mean? Like, if you can turn that cash around, whatever. But I'm simply saying that if you, the mental space that we're in this group is in this academy is to understand that this is not an isolated incidence. This is the norm. Absolutely. And you have to reposition your mind to understand that that level of male ability to wield his energy, focus, and talents to create a situation where he can provide for a woman, and the nonsense niggotry that is, well, what are you doing for me? What do you bring to the table? What if you have a quality woman and you're still asking that, and you see and you're not able to see what she brings to the table? That is your problem and not hers, and it doesn't require a response. But we want to, that is the shift that is going to just be like, it's like breaking sinews, and just ligaments are going to be torn inside your emotional body, and get you into a right thinking that this is the norm. This is not just like we have to highlight this as if this is rare. Men all over the world are able to do this, and you've just been scraping the bottom of the barrel behind some nonsense.
Absolute nonsense. And one of the things, very professional, very astute, and he thanked me publicly for welcoming him, to Orgampi Farms family. And his words were filled with words like, I'm grateful for this experience. This is an investment. Your skill set. It was not from a position of I want to get the most for the least. It was, I'm grateful for what it is you quoted me, and I gladly take care of that because I see myself in a position of power.
Absolutely. Girl. Now, meanwhile, you had in your inbox a request for the entire package for how I mean, you have to get to the point where you can just chuckle at it. And it's just so ridiculous.
You have to. Yeah, absolutely. And people, you get individuals that, want to, and I respectfully, I don't do build nations because the whole thing is my experience in agribusiness. If I had to calculate it, it's a nearly $3 million experience. And I cannot give you that for $100 and a fish sandwich.
Girl, and that was in your inbox, the request from Build-A-Bear brother that was like, can I give you $200 for this and on a payment plan? I mean,
it's unbelievable because at a basic level, that person cannot respect you. So that's in power dynamics. That's an indication that you're going to have substantial problems in that relationship.
Absolutely.
And if you settle for that, then you're going to be locked into that reality and contracted into that reality.
Right.
So it's in those cases, you just have to respectfully decline because the world does not operate on those vibrations. You have to step up to that power play.
Right.
And there are men that are in this world that target, adore, and specifically want to care for Black women. But unfortunately, we have been brainwashed into serving only Black men. So we don't ever have access to world power. And when we step out of the brainwashing we then go into a space of it's a whole nother set of rules. And that's what we're about in the Level Up Academy. What are those rules and how do I master them for every aspect of my entire life? This to me will force Black culture to self-correct.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The moment you lose your women, it's the moment you cease to exist.
Exactly.
We have to embody the standard, the gold standard. We have to embody this.
Exactly. And the
Absolutely.
you've had plenty of time. You've had plenty of time to get it together. You've had plenty of time to do what you needed to do, and you had plenty of goodwill, love, and care from sisters who were willing to put their lives on hold for the so-called movement, for the so-called brother man, for the so-called whatever it was, in the face of the desertion, in the face of the, what is it, the 30 to the 35% that are marrying outside of the you know, the Black race as soon as they get a little education and money, don't want to have nothing to do with sisters. You know what I'm saying? So we are facing all, and it's not just been in the past 2 years. This has been building since the 80s. And Black women have only now begun to finally get fed up with the options of either you just spend your life alone without ever being married, or you settle for so much less in a lifestyle that is not conducive for raising a family that's capable of truly interacting on the world market because of the poverty level, or it's disastrous for women, and we've not been given any options other than, oh well, you know,
and
it's
which
your
is not,
problem.
and it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable.
It's not.
To have generations of women to leave this planet and have to sacrifice the very beauty of why they were born, which is their natural femininity, to me, it's a crime against humanity. When you have caused an entire group and race of women to carry the trauma and pain and problems of the race in their womb as their sole responsibility, that's not right. Morally, that's not right. So we really have to begin to upgrade ourselves, because obviously there's no way it's going to be done through the culture.
Right. When the culture is based on blaming Big Mama, blaming the Black woman for everything, you know, and everything that has happened. And so it's all the Black woman's fault, and, you know, there's no culpability on anybody else's part but the Black woman, and y'all raised these idiots, so, oh well. It's never, you know, a discussion of who planted the seed and all of that. The seed is only important when you're trying to be a king and a king and all of that. But after that, it's the woman's problem, because, you know, you're the one that did all this. And that's neither here nor there. We're not going to sink into that. And we also are not going to sink deeply into the rehashing of that in the group. We simply raise that for the wider perspective of those who are listening in and watching, and who will watch the replay, that these are some of the underlying issues for why we have created this. But this is not going to be, we actually are not going to, you know, dwell on any of that at all, because the main focus within this group is pointed, passionate, level up commitment. And so when you are that passionate about it, yes, you can throw a little meme here or there and we can laugh about it. But when you're that passionate, you don't have time for a lot of extra. And I predicted this last year, as many other women have. And I simply stated that there is going to come a day where the average underachieving counterpart is not going to have access to a wide spectrum of women that they've had before. So the women who have been educated, who have been this, who have been that, and that they've still had access to these women because these women have been drilled and educated into the fact that there are no other options other than settling, other than downgrading, other than all of these things. But and so men who have been underachieving have had access to a wide variety of women. But when these women who are seeking their femininity, who are widely educated, and we already had a video, I believe, with Connie, where she really went into the fact that of other races, women who are highly educated, they are able to still maintain their femininity within their educated self, and they also are able to set aside their careers or whatever else to raise the children, to consider that as a full-time job. And I'm not saying that every woman has to do that. I'm simply saying that if you want to concentrate on the infiltration of a certain mindset into your family, into your legacy, that requires time. And a lot of times, if nobody's at home with the young babies and the children, everybody's out at daycare and at work, it's very hard to filter and to imbibe the family with that culture. That's why you see in the higher echelons of society that are able to actually pass on wealth to their future generations, somebody's home. Either it's a nanny but she may be part-time, or she may, whatever it is, but she is clear that her role is very important in the family. Even if she has a Harvard education or whatever, she knew very well that she had a very important role to play in the rearing of the children and bringing them up, giving them cultural experiences, getting them into the right schools. That takes time. And if you're spending 60 hours a week at a job somewhere, you can't do it all. But that is for the so-called classes of women who are still birthing babies but don't have the wherewithal to actually get it all done. But so you're just limping along. And so what we want to express to women, that a radical change has to take place in your life, where you begin to see life from a different spectrum of reality, in which means that you not only have to take care of yourself, you not only have to be able to give from a full cup, you have to also actually be in a position to give. So you have to position yourself marriage-wise, social experiences-wise, extracurricular activities. You got to be able to provide all of that for your children. And if you've not positioned yourself to be able to, survive within these circles, it's just not going to get done. And so this is why we speak about, we're not getting into this group to start discussing, well, money isn't everything. Well, money doesn't bring you happiness. Stop. We're not here for that. You can do that with your spiritual brothers and fight over your child support and all of that over there. But what we're doing here is we are understanding that there are certain components. The world is what it is. And you either get in and fit in terms of getting what you need to happen and to take place and to progress, or you stay out of it and then don't complain about you get what you got. And so I wanted to quickly go over some of the components. And this is not an exclusive list, but this is several of the components that you will actually receive within the group. There will be, makeup tutorials. There will be an understanding of how to dress elegantly, etiquette, self-care, high value mindset, wealthy mindset, law of attraction, prosperity mindset and teachings, dating tips, socializing, finances, lifestyle, local and nationwide meetups that we will have within the group, group vacations, in-group seminars, consultations, healthy relationships and how to build and maintain them, parenting. We're going to have book clubs. We're going to have member discounts on a variety of sister and other businesses that we are affiliated with, who have wonderful products and services that can support your level up lifestyle. And so we'll be able to offer discounts on those. We have a huge library resources. This is a group where you come in hungry, you come in passionate, you come in fired up. This is your religion. not whatever you've been, dealing with that has served you or not served you, but your level up becomes your religion. It becomes an active lifestyle where you realize that you've been bamboozled. You have been led astray, hoodwinked, led astray, and all of the lessons that you should have had from day one and grown into, you've not had. So it's almost as if you've become a baby without attitude, without sensitivity, without all this extra stuff, that you become a new person. And in fact, it's been said even in the so-called conscious spiritual communities and whatnot, but without and allocating it to a spiritual concept, but you actually become a new race of beings. In other words, we come with the history and the building components within our DNA, which supports our upgrade. But then we then encapsulate all of the highest, most pristine levels of spirituality that affords a good lifestyle. When we talk about the pharaohs and all of the whole, Egyptian, all of that going on, there was wealth, there was prosperity, there was not an alignment with poverty thinking and mindset. There was an extreme lavish wealth that is not separate from who you are. And I will go more into that into the group in terms of understanding the law of attraction and the quote unquote God source, goddess within. You cannot have that power within you and still align yourself necessarily with a poverty mentality, because the ultimate is granted everything. There is no separation. If you are the ultimate and a sliver of the ultimate, as all the other billions of souls, however many souls there are, you are still that. You're just a sliver of it, but you still have every component of it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so I'm not going to go too deep into it because that's going to be a discussion for later. Did you have anything to say about that portion before we get on to our areas of expertise, and we're almost about to wrap it up?
No, I'm good. We can keep rolling.
Okay, so I wanted you, and I'm going to take a quick break right quick. Oops. Excuse me. I wanted you to discuss. Sorry about that. I just hit myself.
Are you fine?
I wanted you to discuss, your, and then I will go over my portion of it, and I'm going to step away from the thing. I wanted you to go over your areas of expertise, or at least the areas that you will be focusing on within the group, so that so that we can kind of narrow it down to like more specifics as to what will be part and parcel of this group. And I'll be right back.
Absolutely. A couple of things that I'm going to be sharing in the group. As Leah mentioned before, that a large portion, of the posting on my private page is not going to be in the private groups. The information, the value, the networking, the skill sets, and all those kinds of things will now be in a private group setting. So some of the things that I focus on specifically is our skill sets like women in business, global agribusiness development, executive presence. And in other words, how to walk into a room and command that room. How to walk in and set the bar as to what the expectation is and what it is that you're going to deliver to that group of people. So I focus a lot on executive presence and what that means. Bitcoin private investing. I'll be doing a lot of Bitcoin group investing in the group, helping women to understand where to start, how to start, why you should not be on Coinbase, and all these different things that women would want to know in a private setting. Feminine capital. I deal a lot with women in agribusiness, but also using the natural abilities and femininity of women as an actual capital resource, especially when I'm consulting with a company or corporation that has no idea how to use that natural resource. creating beauty and sensuality in your homes, womanly art and mindset, monumenting and positioning. And my favorite, of course, I love to teach high tea and etiquette. So I'll be going over what to do, how to level up your etiquette style in terms of when to have coffee, when to have tea, how to go into higher frequency environments with a skill set that allows you to get the kind of results and the kind of outcomes that really you are striving for. And so I use my expertise in agribusiness to help women with those skill sets of building their own individual empires. So you can look forward to posts on, invested in businesses, mainly on the agribusiness format, because as quiet as it's kept, no matter what your field is, as an entrepreneur woman, you should be diversifying into land and development. This is actually a wealth building strategy, not just a strategy for agribusiness. So I focus a lot on how to navigate those different terrains, and at the same time to keep your femininity, because a lot of times people think, oh, if I'm going into different environments, I must, think like a man and be like a man and be hard like a man and chew tobacco like a man. No, we're not doing that, because we're not men. And so how to keep your femininity and also have the lifestyle and the financial security that you desire to have. And so I'll be focusing a lot on that. I love to talk about things that we can do in our homes to accentuate beauty, bringing in creative and magical spaces. So you'll get a large portion of the things that I don't share on my page on Facebook, but you get the inside scoop. Like, I may wake up this week, we may be focused on how to go from a credit score of 450 to 650 in 1 year, and exactly what you need to do. How to have hot tea. I may demonstrate in a live session how to have tea with someone else, how to pour the tea, what kind of cup to use, how to differentiate between a coffee cup and a tea cup, a coffee pot and a teapot. What time is high noon tea? Do I always wear white gloves? Do I always drink tea by myself? What about the kind of danishes of that local area may be included in my tea? Also, the etiquette of entertaining and having higher value meals. 5-course meals, the difference between a white wine glass, a red wine glass, different forks, salad forks, soup, how to be able to look at the table and tell what the entrees are going to be. Right. Because your salad plate and your soup bowl are two different things. Your entree plate and your master coaster are two different things. You can also look at the shape of the table to differentiate between the kind of dinner and the expectation that's going to be set. So all dinners that you attend are not your regular attire and casual. There's some dinners that require formal dress and what's actually appropriate. And it is not the back out, boobs out, butt out.
Right.
It is reserved. It is reserved. It is tasteful. And it's a calmness that you exercise. Because when you are leveling up in high power environments, you open yourself up to invitations to various settings. And it would be a shame to not attend these events because we simply don't know how to act. You should never drive to a formal event. You always have that person pick you up. It's just certain things that dating and poverty have really skewed and really made us grade potential mates on a curve. But when you're thinking about generational legacy and your mindset is mindset in marriage, then you learn the skills not just so that you can impress someone, But because you, as a high value woman, will take your places to eat in the exact same places that he would.
Right.
So you're not eating at Church's Chicken, and then you're at Prissy Restaurant in Buckhead.
Right.
Or the steakhouse. Like you wouldn't be in these places. So it's all about really leveling up in terms of what the etiquette is. And there are going to be people in your circle that can tell you this. When you start rehearsing how to have tea, and you start rehearsing how to eat properly, there are going to be people that shun you. Because their mindset is going to be, who do you think you are?
Right.
Well, I just told you. Yeah, I just showed you. I'm not going to go into a place that I'm unprepared to actually not participate in the full experience. So I would specialize in things like that. The womanly arts of, really leveling up, but also the business aspect and how to generate an authentic executive presence. How to authenticate that. How to command an executive presence, because that presence is contagious. When you meet someone for the first time, you should never check your phone in their presence. There's certain things that we need to know. We need to be close enough to speak without someone else hearing the conversation. We need to greet them properly. We need to touch their arms softly. We need to look them in the eyes. This is executive level presence. Every time you saw Barack Obama or Michelle Obama on stage or giving a speech, they were trained. They didn't just keep your full attention by accident.
Yes, girl, speak on it.
So we're going to have to learn those skills, because unfortunately, the result of being in a powerless culture teaches you by default how to shrink yourself. To not be seen.
That's right.
To not be desirable. To not command every dime that you're worth. And as Black women specifically, we are some highly educated women. So imagine what will happen if the most educated group in the world started to play a global game.
Exactly.
The scrub women will be left with the scrub men.
Yes.
Because the smart ones will be gone.
Yes.
Absolutely. So that's what I'm bringing to the table. A lot of things that I cannot talk about on my page, we'll be able to discuss in the groups, and the how-tos. How do I do this? How do I practice this? And we'll get into all of that.
Right. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Yes. And I wanted to say, and that was so important, that I was actually going to mention inside the group, it's really, really good to get yourself a mentor or an image that is something that you're working towards. And then once you feel like you have attained that, then you set the next bar. And I was actually going to mention that one of those for many women would be someone like a Michelle Obama. And you can't enter into this experience thinking that you cannot attain that level of elegance and etiquette. You know what I'm saying? Just as you said, it's something that was prepared for. It's not something that they just walked into and it happened like that. Of course, they had a level of many years of, progressive steps up into that, but it's all training. It's not something that you can't aspire to. Am I saying that all of us are going to marry a Barack? No. But what I'm saying is that all of us have within us the ingredients to um, embrace the energy and
Yes.
the elegance and the self confidence and the self knowledge and the education that one
Hmm.
such as a Michelle Obama has.
Yes.
And you can do that with serious effort and ambition and passion. And it certainly would be, your efforts would definitely be better than what you got going on right now. I'm just going to flat
Absolutely.
out say it. So any
Hmm.
effort towards that is better than no effort whatsoever. And so allowing yourselves to dream and return to what others would call a childlike state of believing that these quote unquote, what they would call the impossible is possible, they may call that childish. But what we call that is our ability to step into and transform into whoever we so desire ourselves to be with enough practice and education. And so you just have to set your pinnacle very, very high, and then you have to work towards it and not constantly doubt yourself. And that's what we really are about here, is that the sky's the
Yes.
limit. We're not here
Yes.
to limit ourselves. First, set your bar incredibly high and work towards it rather than constantly focus on what you feel like you can't do and what you can't attain. So this
Right.
group is not for those who are interested in limiting themselves. It's for those who are able to imagine and believe in the ultimate for themselves. And
Hmm.
here are the tools. That's what we're offering you, is a plethora of tools. And I want to thank you for sharing, what you are, the aim of your expertise, as well as many other
Yes.
things that will come about as we do that. So
Absolutely.
while there may be many other groups and whatnot, but to have all of that expertise in the business and the finances and the feminine energy in the masculine dominated spheres without losing it, and so many of the other aspects that she has walked in day to day, is very, very important. Like, even if you're not a businesswoman, even if you, prefer not to work, if you reach a certain level and you marry, well, or whatever, but at least having access to that, because you've got to be able to discuss certain things no matter what.
Yes.
If he's taking you to a business meeting, if he's taking you to a gala event or whatnot, you can't sit there
Yes.
and just have no idea about what anything that's going on, world events or otherwise, and you've not had any sort of introduction to some very rudimentary concepts that people who are actually building wealth, that they're dealing with, then you're going to be at a loss and you're actually going to be a liability in the situation. So that's
Hmm.
why you want to always educate yourself. And so even if you feel like that's not something that you're necessarily um, focused on right now, having at least this pass by your eyes, and occasionally, open the
Right.
links, whatever she's offering, listening to her private videos, Facebook live videos within the group. Um, those are really important for you, because you'll be surprised at how that'll come up in the future for you.
Absolutely.
And so that's part of what Dr. Portia will be offering. I myself will be offering, um, I like to call myself an information scavenger. So I research, I read, I
Hmm.
get fired up, I locate the information, and I allow my mind to just travel down a path and just take me there
Hmm.
with complete abandon. And I think that's been one of the aspects of myself that's been very critical and crucial in my own level up experience, is that I enter into it with complete abandonment, in terms of, submission to the concept that this is what I'm focusing on. I trust it intrinsically, and I'm just going to walk down this path. And so you can imagine the same type of energy that I put into the Black conscious community and brothers and all of that, and just following, and just going headfirst into that.
Hmm.
And it didn't serve me well whatsoever. And so now I'm doing it for myself and building myself up and getting myself into a position where I can then offer that to a family setting. Well, I already do to my children, but as well as a marriage setting, and a man who's worthy, who will take that
Yes.
and build upon that energy, as opposed to me sinking this very pertinent energy into a hole that has a bottomless pit that requires me to feed it constantly, as opposed to being a beautiful, differently powered energy within the combined efforts towards the elevation. So that's not only for a future partner, but also just for myself. This is what I offer, and I know my worth, I know my value, and unfortunately, I wasted it on the quote unquote community and the builder bombs and all of that for no reason whatsoever. It
We
clearly
all did,
did
sis.
nothing. We
Yeah,
all did.
we all did. Yeah, we all took
And
the bomb bit. You know, we all did. But thankfully, we
mhm.
woke up.
Yes,
Hmm.
yes. And I think it's so crucial, like you have said, that, if this doesn't wake up the vast majority of egotistical, powerless segments that are just floating on a will and a prayer that some sister has bought into the story, it's going to be a huge awakening. A lot's changing. A lot of women are going to
Yeah.
jump ship and keep it moving, because if you are, the
Right.
masculine head, this, that, and the other, but you've not built anything thus far, nor secured your children to walk in the street without being murdered, without this and that and the other, then you don't have anything to say until you work on that aspect of it. But we certainly can't
Yes.
wait around for that anymore. We've done enough. And so what I am offering, for the things that are most beneficial and provide really, really positive, immediate gains, are the physical aspect first and foremost, which is your style, which is makeup, which is exercise. And then within, that's a whole world in and of itself, because many of us have been brainwashed into, you know, um, our physical appearance doesn't matter. We're just going to walk around as spiritual beings and, highly impoverished saints. And so that's what's most important in terms of our blackness, is how, whatever. So we are waking up from that, and I did a lot of work. And when I tell you, it was, when I said, a part of the things is that you have to be willing to do what you are not comfortable with. You have to be
Hmm.
willing to open your mind to understanding that the world works on a completely different concept than your black spirituality that you've been
Yes.
sold. Nobody's doing that. Okay, at least nobody that's actually doing something that's building, but setting aside the few examples that have been able to, build something, maybe the Dr. Sebis of the world, all of that. And even that ending was questionable. I don't know what happened with that, but I'm just saying that is not the norm, and we are not here to be the devil's advocate and constantly argue for the exception. We are
Right.
here to stop wasting time and get in where we fit in. And then once you have what you need, then start to make some changes if you feel like that was super necessary, and without compromising your inner self. But if you're still in a
Yes.
position where you feel like you're just combing your hair, or you're just, looking into style and elegance is compromising your spiritual status, then it's definitely not for you. Like, not going out of the house in hair rollers and a bonnet every day. If that's a problem for you, this group is not for you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so
Right.
I really want to, there is so many layers that we didn't grow up learning, but that is a recognizable aspect of wealth, of a person who will even be able to approach inner circles so that you can get those secrets. So let's say you want to, get certain information and secrets and use it to your benefit and for your people. You can't even approach those tables if you look in any kind of way.
No, you can't.
If you have a certain thing, now if you want to put a spiritual attachment to it, to say, well, that's not right and they shouldn't be thinking that way, and so I'm just not going to deal with it, well, that's cool and everything, but that means that you're going to maintain your status quo. But if you understand that there are certain things that you're going to need to do and learn and accept until you can change it, you got to deal with it so that you can get what you need out of it, then consider changing it. But you're not going to change it from the outside being powerless and in
Absolutely.
a position, in a physical state of unkempt self-care where, you know, you can't even approach the table because you look in a certain way, and you're
Mm-hmm.
not caring. So that is not caring in that sense. You may care in other ways, but we're just keeping it real. So I do want to address that. I want to address also the personal feminine energetic power. So, in other words, that
Mm-hmm.
transition and what takes place within your cellular level for recognizing the difference between the masculine energies that we have been carrying and forced to carry because of the
Mm-hmm.
propaganda and because men are not in their masculine energies, in their powerfulness of their masculine energies, at least in the
Right.
positive aspects of masculine energy, because they're not in that role. We are taking on more of that. And then, you know, blaming them for this. It takes two in this whole story. So it's not necessarily about man bashing, because we understand that while we are walking this path, we are looking very carefully at our own culpability, at our
Yes.
own behaviors, at our own admissions and our acceptance of certain roles, and how we may have simply enjoyed certain power trips and certain aspects that are not native to a feminine being. And so
Right.
the more that you express a masculine aspect of yourself, the more you're going to elicit a feminine expression from men who are effeminated. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then you complain about why they're being effeminate. Well, you know, two men usually will clash in the same environment, and somebody's got to win in that, you know, in terms of the level of energy. So we have manned up well enough and long enough, and we're no longer interested in manning up. We're no longer
Right.
interested in that. So I love, to me, that is the juice and the marrow and the sauciness of, you know, exploring the feminine aspects and the feminine energy and the transformation within your being, and how that feels and how that plays out, and how you can connect your emotions to
Mm-hmm.
rewire your subconscious and rewire your reactions to life. And there's a plethora of information out there that I would love to share with women, and I love the sisters that have been in my inbox that have been going through that transformation by themselves, just and then asking, you know, what about this, and I share the links with them. So I'm more than happy to do that within a group environment, so that everyone can bounce off of each other in terms of using the positive aspects of our submission to Black consciousness in all of these
Mm-hmm.
different aspects of Black spiritual movements, and whether it's Rasta or whatever, but using it to our benefit rather than being used in a negative aspect by the false masculine energies that are, you know,
Absolutely.
allowed to survive in that. So I'm going to be dealing with that as well. And in part, in keeping with that, that is very much takes us into the law of attraction, that takes us into our prosperity mindset, that takes us into the feminine aspects of the fluidity of currency, which I already have a
Mm-hmm.
separate private group for that I took a bit of hiatus for, and I will go back into that. But there's a plethora of information when in understanding and accepting the fluidity of prosperity and embracing it, because you can't level up but still have a poverty, you know,
Right.
mentality, which states that you don't feel worthy of wealth. You don't feel
Right.
worthy, and your spiritual structure is such that you are still living on a concept that saintliness and godliness is closest to poverty. In other words, so if you're dealing with a lot of guilt issues around wealth, you certainly will be talking the talk, but you won't be able to fully walk the walk if you are attaching your spirituality, and your deep seated emotions are attached to negative concepts about money and wealth. So we
Right.
have to, you know, relieve ourselves of that and free ourselves from the guilt of that, you know, to be wealthy means I'm going to be automatically an evil person, or to
Mm-hmm.
want a man who's capable of commanding and amassing wealth. Well, he's got to be evil. You know, it's better to go with a poor righteous man, supposedly righteous, when we've been with poor men, and, you know, I mean, the righteousness is questionable, but that's neither here nor there. But so I want to delve into that, and I want to scoop that out and clear that out of ourselves, out of our
Yes.
subconscious, so that we're not working on a tape that in a story within ourselves that is actually working against what we're trying to do. Another aspect is the aspect of dating, because we can do all we want in terms of leveling up ourselves, but if we don't understand the psychology of dating, the psychology of what it is we need to look for, how we are to behave on dates, the interactions between males and females, and completely undoing this false education that we've had in terms of Disneyland promotion of relationships that are completely unrealistic, and or settling for the bottom of the barrel, that as long as he's with me for 2 hours today, I'm supposed to just, that's what I'm worth. So looking at your self-worth, looking at your standards, looking at the men that you are attracting, and noticing how the differences between the men you attract when you have leveled up are completely different from the men who will approach you when you yourself are dusty, when you're covered with the dusty's dust. It's a completely different experience, and you need to be ready for it. How do you speak to a wealthy man? How do you interact with a wealthy man? It's not about you. Most wealthy men do not care about your job, and you're not going to sit there and present all this masculine energy to him and compete about who's got the best degree and who went to this school and who went to that. That's like another man, and no wealthy man wants to deal with another man in a dating relationship. Only dusties who are looking for a woman, a mannish woman to take care of them, want to hear about all your degrees and all of that, because they're looking to find out what is it. And the first thing, if they ask you what you do for a living, you're dealing with a dusty for the most part, because most men who have it like that, they don't really care what you do, because they're able to take care of themselves and you and many more. So they don't care what you do. So it's a whole different set of interactions that you got to rewire yourself for when you want to level up and deal with these men, because you've been dealing with dusties that are constantly worried about what you bring to the table, other than your feminine aspect,
or need
50-50. Yes, and so they need to know, do you have a job? They're asking you, do you have a job? Do you have a car? Where do you live? Can I come sit on your couch? I mean, it's all of that you've been used to, but that's not the real world. The little black situation we've been dealing with, that is not the real world. It's Blackistan. It's Blackistan 100%. And the rest of the world doesn't deal with that. But if you've been brainwashed and accustomed to this, it's going to be very difficult for you to walk out in the world with that thinking and sit down and have a conversation with somebody who's about something. And so that is huge for us, because again, we're not in this we're not in this group to be the strong, independent Black woman that doesn't need a man. That's not what we're doing here. So dating in and attracting healthy males is an important factor in that, as well as also uplifting ourselves. And the last point, again, is an information scavenger. So for me, on top of, the other aspects, I will be throwing in a lot of information and within appropriate speed and whatnot. But if somebody needs something, because I understand that not everybody's got the level of time that it takes, not only just to level up, takes so much energy. And it takes a shifting of your entire day, your schedule. Now instead of just rolling out of bed with crust in your eyes and getting in your car and going to work, you've got to get up extra early. You've got to do some rituals. You've got to do some self-care. You've got to get yourself presentable and walk out into that world as if, you're Michelle Obama. Like you've got to live it. And so that takes some doing. And so not everybody's going to have time to bring forth all of the information and, different links and how do you contour? How do you do this? How do you do that? And I'm still learning myself. So I'm not by any means an expert, but I do have the ability and the time to bring that information to you to speed up your accelerated level up process. So that's what my part would bring to the table. So I feel like Dr. Portia and I have brought together a nice combination of skills that and offerings that is a huge investment. And that brings us to the last point that we want to talk about: investment. And I know this has gone a little bit long, but it's very important that we understand level up and the understanding of prosperity, the understanding of the exchange of energy, the exchange of information is a valuable and a value added opportunity. So
Yes.
when you are dealing with level up, when you are dealing with a certain class of people, there ain't too much that's for free. So if you were thinking that this is just another free group that, you know, you're just going to pop in and 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the train and all of that, that is not what it is. You have to stop that immediately, expecting something for free from people who are providing you a value added service. So if you are not able to come out of your pocket and invest, just as they say sometimes when you pay for a gym, and usually if you pay for it, you're most likely going to go because you already put your money in and you want your value out of it. And it's very much the same thing. And so even if the sister was to tell you what she charges, you know, for her agribusiness consultation, not that she's going to go through the full thing with us in the whole group, but at least get us going. What she would charge to give a seminar on cryptocurrency, what she would charge for a personal consultation on how to reverse the masculine energy train that's going in your life as an executive, as you may be, you know, an executive in your own position as a woman. All of that has a fee. And we do not deal with individuals who are still on the poverty consciousness that think that you deserve and it's your right to have a plethora of information for free. There is YouTube. There are a great many sources that you can go and find it yourself if you have the right direction and the right mindset, and if you can figure out all the components of what to even keywords to search, where to even start with this. But if you want a structured environment that is healthy, that is cooperative, that is supportive, then you're gonna need to understand that there's a value to that. And so, did you want to go into a little bit into that, sis?
Yeah, absolutely. When we're talking about value, when someone has invested in the way that we've invested in our careers and our lifestyle and our progressive and constant learning, there's always a fee attached, because when you start expecting things for free, you don't value them. And so the way to show that you value a particular set of information is around how well you are able to give an exchange for that system. So it's really important that we learn to do that. It's critical. It's also a way that the universe can respond to you.
Yes.
If you expect for free, then don't expect the universe to show up for you.
Right. Absolutely.
Even with that, you have to trade your energy. So yes, absolutely, sis.
And so, in keeping with that, the group in and of itself, there is a one-time fee via PayPal for $75, and this is a lifetime membership. Whereas many things are yearly subscription, and you know, you just have to pay. I mean, that I've just purchased a program that I plan to really learn from and share my experiences and my revelations. That was $197, and it's just for five modules that will probably, you know, I can't remember if it's spread over a couple of weeks or if it's all dropped at once. And I just paid $197 for it. And that's just one. And that's one of many programs that I have paid for and invested in, and that has helped me immensely. I have had mentors. I have paid for consultations, phone consultations, that were much more than this one-time 75 that is a lifetime for however many years you want to be involved in it. So
absolutely,
we are not accepting any requests for can I get 50% off? Can I put 5 on it? We're not accepting any of that. Either you is or you ain't at this point.
Period.
So period, and point blank. And as we both continue to grow and learn, we will be offering information that we have gleaned most valuable to our own personal growth, because we're neither static nor in a place where we're going to ever stop learning. Again, I'm an information scavenger, so I'm all over the place. And those who've been in my inbox have seen through the plethora of links and information that I've been able to provide on the spot. And so if you are interested in that, please inbox myself, Leah Bayaka. I will be handling the group entry. It is a secret group. It's already been set up. You will not be able to search it on Facebook. You will not be able to see posts from it. You have to be added to that group. And so if you will, you would need to inbox me via Messenger. And I will be watching my Messenger. I do see some in there now already. And then I would send you a PayPal link, and you would need to, place your order. And then from there, you will be given direct entry. And then from there, with that $75 fee, you will get so much more, including discounts. I already have a few people lined up to give in-group live seminars at no cost to you all about a variety of subjects that will be valuable. Plus, you will be giving discounts on their products, and we will constantly be having in-house. We're also going to be having, like we said, group meetings in town in Atlanta. Both Dr. Portia and I are in Atlanta, and we will be traveling to other cities and having other cities. It's a global movement. This is a movement where women, and you all know, when women come together, it is powerful. When women come together around a subject and they leave all emotionalism and all the extra behind, unless it's healthy emotions, in terms of being able to work through it, and none of the drama that, we're not about that. It's powerful. And this is why, again, I would think that brothers would be quite nervous about this cadre, this level of women that are done, that are simply done, and we're moving on to other things and bigger and better horizons, and entering into an entirely different stratosphere of society and offering and wealth and connections and networking. You'd be surprised by how just leveling up your internal energy and your appearance and your thinking, how that opens up funding for your businesses, how that opens up people trust you more. People are ready to give to you. So much comes from this. So the value of this is exponential. I mean, it's amazing what will come to you just by leveling up yourself and encompassing that divine energy. I can't stress it enough. I can't stress it enough how huge this is. And there are many platforms that are doing various formats of this. It's 2018 is the year of the woman. It's the year, and particularly the woman of color, who is coming into the knowledge that there are secrets that women of other groups have held and maintained for generations, and that they pass along and they share amongst themselves. It's separate from, as with Connie's, the video I did with Connie, where she clearly flat out explained and showed that it's what they do in public is very different from what they do in private. So the whole feminist movement, the whole, everything's a problem, everything is politically correct, and all of that. And they're arguing over, right now it's supposedly oppressive for a man to even get down on a knee and propose to a woman. Like, they're having all these think tank articles on all of this BS, but behind closed doors, they could not maintain the position that they have globally if there was not a level of adherence to a set of standards that they maintain within their community. We got to stop playing. We have to understand that it's a game, and there's a competitive market even amongst women. And as a woman who women are paying quite a bit of money to look like, to get the lip injections, the butt injections, the tanning, the whole shape and whatnot. And that's just on a physical level. And you sitting out. You're sitting out of the game. You're sitting out in the bleachers talking about whatever. Meanwhile, there's a global marketplace and a competitive space where women are competing for the alpha. Women are competing for the man who is about his business. Women are, you know what I'm saying? And that's why in colleges and whatnot, they're running after the NBA, the guy who's headed for the NBA. They're running after the guy who's headed for the NFL because they know what? The Tiger Woods, they're running, you know what I'm saying? But they're not coming looking crazy in any kind of way or just relaxed and, you know, my appearance isn't necessary. No. But they have the receipts. They're playing for keeps and they have the receipts. But we've bought into, well, we just need to be spiritual over here and we just need to, you know, be Mother Earth and all of that. And that's fine and dandy. But if you're not able to compete, there's a competition going out there and you've been sitting out the whole time and others are winning.
Yeah. With much less than your skill set.
With much, thank you, and physicality. Like there's surgery required in order to get what you have.
Right.
And you're sitting out, or with Tyrone over here, or Mookie or whatever, and you carrying on with all of this BS. You know what I mean? Like totally wasting your time. And so we place a value on ourselves, and the first thing that we do is value the comeuppance. We value what we have had to put into leveling ourselves up. We value ourselves enough to pay for this. At least I do. I have paid thousands upon thousands in training and courses and books and groups and my personal attention and making it my religion. I have paid thousands. I have cut my hair. I have done everything in order to release the dust from around me and release people in my life who can't understand because they're on something else. And that's cool. But I personally have paid the price and I'm willing to continue to pay the price. And I am going to continue to invest thousands into this because it's that necessary and it's that important because I'm thinking more than myself and my 24 hours in front of me. I'm thinking about my children's legacy. And
absolutely
75, 100, 1,000 or more, when we're talking about legacies that are 200-year plans people have, you're talking about 5-year plans and vision boards. We're talking about people who have in place 200-year plans who are, I just read a passage in a book that I've been reading about the wealthy and whatnot, where you're not even considered true wealth until you've had 4 generations of descendants who have not had to work a day job. And you can't even get through the week. You can't even get through the next paycheck. You know what I'm saying? And caught up in all kind of drama and nonsense and spirituality, all of this enough stuff. But there's people over here who are building real power. And they are talking about generations, not just your lifetime, but what is it that you have to do in order to position your grandchildren? And I already have a grandchild and I'm late. So what is it that I have to do in order to position my great grandchildren and pass this knowledge down? So at least, not to say that every child in your family is going to get it, but if you have the structure that's already built and have at least one per generation that gets it and that can carry it forward, that's enough.
Absolutely. That's enough. And fact that we have a 73% out of wedlock rate means that we've been completely had for a game.
Completely. 73.
No other group of women. No other.
If you want to sit up and talk about, well, it's just the men and it's just this and all of that and elevate your status as single mother, that's on you. And I get it and everything and all of that. But what does that serve your children? When everyone knows that with children, it's the single mothers that are sinking into poverty even deeper than Tyrone.
Yes.
It's because you're having to raise these children by yourself. So all of this lingo and feminist concept and all of that, am I saying go with the next, weak behind it Negro? I'm not saying that, but I'm simply saying you've got to be able to acknowledge that you're
Yes.
sinking into a level of poverty, sinking into
Yes.
you're closing in opportunities for your children that you cannot duplicate just by yourself.
Yeah,
You just
absolutely.
can't.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Or it's going to take you
It
so
doesn't
many
work like
decades.
that.
It doesn't work like that. And we stay as a Black community, we stay on these ideologies and these dreams
You know
and
what
these made up
it
concepts
means?
that
Yeah.
nobody's doing in the world.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The tried and true generational wealth people are not on these fantasies that Black folk keep up. We have so many fantasies. Well, I can just do it my way, and I can just do this. And nobody said, as long as I have Jesus, or as long as I have Muhammad, as long as I have God, and or as long as I meditate, and money doesn't matter anyway. And we have all of this stuff going on, and they count on you being ridiculous like this and stepping willfully outside of the game, because that leaves more for them.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we are leveling up.
Leveling up, honey. Leveling up, dolling up.
Yes.
And keeping it 100% real. Power up. And so that's our announcement, folk. That's our announcement. We are snatching everything. We are snatching everything because we are a powerful set of women. We have so much at our fingertips if we just harness it all and humble ourselves to be able to grasp these concepts and take it and run. I mean, the forward motion is going to be amazing. The level of transformation is going to be amazing because we have been able to do so much with so little. So imagine if we have all of the information and access to the right information, how quickly we can level up and transform our lives within a year or two. Imagine.
Absolutely.
Imagine.
And $75 is nothing. You spend that more than that on a month at Starbucks. Come on. We got to come with it. We spend more than that on our hair and nails, and we're getting all that done to attract a poverty man. So we gotta level up.
Absolutely. But you know what? Like we said, and like I said at the outset, even though I have a feeling there will be hordes coming through, but I'm okay with 5. I'm okay with 2, because the energy that we build up and vibe off of each other is so powerful. And what 2, 3, 4 women can do in conjunction and bringing all of our skills and, hey, how about you do this? How about you do that? Oh, I know this and I know of that. I mean, what we can do just amongst ourselves, what you and I have been able to do.
Absolutely.
Just amongst ourselves, just 2 people. It's astronaut. And I don't, so, we're not looking for, we're not begging. We're just simply saying, this is what it is. This is what we have to offer.
Right.
And we have a repository for a wealth of information, knowledge, and energy.
Right.
And it's there. And it's up to you. If you're interested, here it is. If you're not, keep it moving. And we're okay with that. There's no judgment either way. But Portia and I have both acknowledged that this will be our last in-depth public Facebook recording on these subjects. I have tons of interviews that I have set up with many people, and I know we have both had an overwhelming response from the 2 videos that I did with Dr. Portia and the video I did with Connie. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. But I'm no longer going to do that on the public Facebook. I'm no longer going to drop these very valuable tools into a public space where people have not really invested in it. It's just something that they sit and watch, and eat popcorn and keep it moving. I'm not going to do that anymore. So we're
Right.
bringing it in. And this is going to be for those who are truly committed to this.
Absolutely.
And there are many resources for it. We're offering another. It's not about competition. It's about, understanding the value of what we have committed to and being there
Right.
for you all. So if you have any questions, I am handling that portion of it in regards to questions about the group, in regards to entry into the group,
Yes.
and so you can always inbox me, and I will check both my messages. If you're not a Facebook friend, your message will probably go into the other folder, and so I will do what I can to continue to watch it. And then we're basically, as of tomorrow morning, I will begin adding people. I already have requests tonight in my inbox. I'll begin adding people, and then we will really begin posting. I'll probably actually post, because it's still early, I'm going to post a few things just to get some juices flowing tonight. But, we're going to have weekly live Facebook duel like this between Dr. Portia and myself. And then
Absolutely.
we each individually will be doing Facebook Lives, and then just tons of, elevating, wonderful posts by both of us. And then we are encouraging your participation. We don't want you to come in and just sit and just, people watch. There's a lot to do, and it's so encouraging, and you're just going to be superstars. Like,
Yeah. It's
what
going to
you
be
will be
fun.
able to. It's going to be fun.
Yes. It's
I'm
going to be
looking forward
fun.
to it.
I'm looking forward to it as well. And you can also inbox me on my messenger, and I'll get it over to Leah too. So if you're not friends with Leah and you're friends with me, I can forward it over, and then we can get it all to one place, one central location. So we can,
Right.
if you're not
Absolutely.
already friends with Leah, you can always inbox me, and I'll forward it right over to Leah to get you in the database. So we're definitely looking forward to getting 2018 off to a new year. So many opportunities are coming up and available in 2018. So I've got to go, Leah, because I've got some noise in the background. But I wanted to
Okay.
just say, everybody to welcome aboard the ladies that are serious and leveling up, and getting this thing rolling. Like, life it's a beautiful experience. We cannot waste time on nonsense and going in circles. We have to make a
Absolutely.
different decision. So I'm pumped. I'm ready. I cannot wait. If you have any questions, you can inbox me or inbox Leah, and we can get it all over to Leah. She's much more organized than I am. So we're gonna
I doubt it. I doubt it.
so we're gonna get these things over so we can get it in the right place, and look forward to lots of value that's coming up. When I hit Arizona next week, only the ladies in the group are going to get the inside scoop on what to do first when you get to the land, what to do second when you get to the land, how to do this. So I'll be doing a lot of live posting from Arizona, and I'm going to walk you through this wealthy client that's really already prepared for that. And so what it takes to, if you're an entrepreneur, soap maker, if you are perfume maker, if you're flower maker, if you're a chef, how to get into agribusiness. So all of those live posts are going to be coming from Arizona on next week in the mountains of Arizona. So I will only be doing that inside of the group. Absolutely. Only in the Level Up group, because this is for you. I'm going live for you to get you that information, because you've invested in this group and paid your money. Now you need to know the how-tos. Absolutely. I'm hoping to hit a really nice dinner place while I'm there, so I can record it live in a 5-course meal and show you the steps by steps and talk you through it. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
And you know what? For the ladies, I'm going to put together, if he's willing and interested, I'm going to put together a list of questions that we would love to ask him if he has time.
Yes.
Because it's
That'd
so
be fun.
important for the ladies to understand there's brothers out there who are about that life, who have the fluidity and the money, and what questions can we ask him? We just want to get the mindset. We want to soak it in. And there's many brothers like that. So as you move in the business circles and share that with us from the business perspective, we're going to keep soaking it in like sponges. We are not going to waste this opportunity. We are hungry And I'm excited.
Yes.
Like, we're just rooting you on, child, because this is an awesome opportunity and you deserve it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, super
it's
excited.
raining money,
Super
honey.
excited.
All right, y'all. Well, I know the sister
All right.
has to go on, and so I am got to answer these inboxes now. And thank you all so much. We appreciate you
Thank
all for
you.
everything. And
Love
we
you
are
so
going
much.
private. Love you, love you,
Absolutely.
love you. Appreciate the energy, but we are bringing it in. It's going into those who have invested. So peace and blessings. Happy Sunday.
Peace.
And we'll
Happy
see you
Sunday.
soon. All right.
All right.
Bye.
Peace and blessings. Bye-bye.